where we help you make better decisions and live with fewer regrets. I'm Andy Stanley, and I'll be your guide, and I have a question for you. Have you ever been your own worst enemy? Have you ever been your own worst enemy? I think we all have. We run from the things that are good for us, and then we embrace the things that aren't, and it never works out in the end. So let's end it. And today I will tell you how, right here on Your Move. So here's a question for you. Have you ever been your own worst enemy? Have you ever been your own worst enemy? And the answer is yes, you have been your own worst enemy. Maybe not some big macro, big area or some big decision that kind of undermined your whole future. But at some point in all of our lives, we have been our own worst enemy. I was trying to think of a time to tell you about and be vulnerable, and all of the ones were my own worst enemy. I'm too embarrassed, but I did think of one big one. I was my own worst enemy my first semester in college. When I found out at the end of that first semester, I was on academic warning. And then I was my own worst enemy my second semester. I was on the semester system, when I found out I was on academic probation. And the thing that makes this so memorable is not that part, it's the next part. My mom said she wanted to talk to me about college. So I was living at home, going to Georgia State, and so she sits me down at the kitchen table. You know, there's just certain memories that are etched in your mind. You can see the colors on the wall, and this is one of those moments. She sat me down, and I thought she was gonna give me the pep talk. Like, Andy, you can do anything you set your mind to, and if you believe, you can achieve, and you can do all things through Christ. I don't know what she was gonna say, but I'm ready for the, Andy, you need to buckle down. And here's what she said, and I quote, Andy, college is not for everyone. That is a direct quote. Andy, college is not for everyone. And I realized even my own mom didn't really think I had what it took to get through college. And I went from becoming my own worst enemy to becoming my own best friend, because it scared me so much. Now, all of us have kind of interesting kind of look back and laugh stories, but have you ever seen anyone who did this up did this up big? I mean, they became their own worst enemy with their career or in their marriage or with their finances or a relationship with one of their children. And you stand back and you see it happening. You see it happening, kind of unrolling and unraveling. And you're thinking, you're doing this to yourself. But here's the thing that's true of all of us, and I'm talking to me as well as you. We all have the potential. I don't even know you, but this is what I know about you. Every single one of us has the potential to become our own worst enemy, right? And the reason I know that is because you, and this is all of us, but I'm picking on you for a second, you have participated in all of your bad decisions, right? You have participated in 100 of your bad decisions. In fact, I'm picking on you a little bit, and it's the same true with me too, that we were the masterminds behind our own bad decisions. And here's why this is a big deal. Because a single bad decision, I mean, you know this, a single bad decision is always the first step toward becoming your own worst enemy, right? It's not like it happens all at one time. It just unravels over time. And the people that you've watched become their own worst enemy in a big way. It started with small things. It started with one simple, single decision, right? Because every habit begins with the first time. And every pattern begins with the first line. And every journey begins with a first step. So,
well, welcome to Counsel of the Day with Shanrae, and I am Shanrae. We're going to go on and get started. Let me add it like this. Okay, so this is a 30-minute platform. Those of you all that are familiar or not familiar with my platform, I'm a degree counselor, and this is a 30-minute platform, and it's open. So if you have any questions, if you have any life scenarios that you don't mind sharing, I will pause at any point and I will answer your questions, or I will give highlight to your comments. And if there's something that I don't know, an answer that I don't know right now, I will research it and I will get back to you. So without further ado, I am Shanrae, and this is Counsel of the Day with Shanrae. I do 4 quarterly sessions a year. So we're on our third session this year, August 2022. I dedicate 1 month, 2 days a week for 30-minute sessions of Counsel of the Day. So we have new days, but at the same time, the new days are Sunday and Monday now. But we will always start at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time till 9:30. and I had to situate my new schedule around my work schedule. So without further ado, let's move this along. So I am a degree counselor. I acquired my degrees from Ashford University. I'm going to open this up a little bit so I can read this. Okay, and my great passion is to bring healing to people who have been through, some traumatic and stressful experiences. And when people experience trauma, it serves as being, it just pauses and hinders people. So my goal is to help people in their journey become the best people that they can be in their lifetime. Okay, I'm going to go on and read my website disclaimer, and then we're going to move this along. All right, please be aware that due to the nature of the technology that I'm using, there can be no assurance of confidentiality when using this online service. It should also be noted that due to changes in policies, that all replies are to be used as advisory and informational only and will not constitute an official determination. Information provided by myself or other counselors or counseling services are subject to the limitations of current and available material. But the final responsibility for successfully achieving a goal rests with you, the individual. So information online is designed to be helpful. However, this information can change and it will change frequently. It is recommended that you, the individual, will consult another physician, another specialist, and or religious leader to aid you in your overall behavioral well-being. All right, so I am a Christian counselor, so I dedicate a certain scripture for the month. I'm going to open this a little bit so you can see it a little bit better. All right, so the scripture for the month is Philippians 4:13, and it says that I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. And this is the New King James Version. All right, so let's move on. I always give a definition of this month. I'm talking about, can bad habits be broken? Can bad habits be broken? I'm an optimist, so I'm always going to say yes. Yes, 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 yes. Bad habits can be broken. Okay, so here's the scripture. Here's the definition of habit. And it says, let me open this up a little bit so you can see it for yourself. A definition of habit is a settled or regular tendency or practice, especially one that is hard to give up. That's what the definition of a habit is. So let's move on to our key points that I'm going to hit on tonight. Again, this is a 30-minute platform. Let me open this a little bit so you can see. And I'm going to close it back up. So tonight I'm going to be talking about the psychology behind how to break bad habits. How long does it take to break a bad habit? Why is it so hard to break bad habits? How to break bad habits, define the habit that you want to break, and its triggers. Choose a substitute for your bad habits, and then aim for success, plan for failure. All right. So tonight I want to bring light to psychologist Mr. Benjamin Spall. Benjamin Spall talks about, he's the co-writer of the book My Morning Routine. He's written for outlets including the New York Times, the New York Observer, Quartz, Entrepreneur, Business Insider, CNBC, and more. Okay, so the psychology behind how to break bad habits. All right, we all have bad habits, all of us do. So whether we have a tendency to bite our nails or talk with our mouth full, oh, I do that. I do that. Or a chronic procrastinator. Bad habits are harmful to our vision for ourselves and who we want to be. The problem is that our brains are wired to turn our everyday interactions into habits and into routines. So when we perform certain actions, such as riding a bike, driving a car, or tying our shoelaces, on autopilot, this frees our brain up to focus on other things. So the creation of habits and routines in itself is not a bad thing. It really isn't. It's far from it, but just as easily as we can form bad habits, we can also form good habits. All right, so a bad habit can be formed again, and they can extremely make our lives very difficult and be extremely difficult to break. So in this article, Dr. Benjamin is saying that he's going to dive into the psychology behind how to break bad habits, starting at their formation, or as we say, starting at the root. So he's going to look into what causes bad habits. Now, we talked about last night that habits start to form at age 9. We also talked about last night that when it gets to a point in our lives when we cannot break a bad habit, then it's classified or it's determined as it can be classified as a mental illness. If you're dealing with something where you cannot break it, then it's classified. It can be classified as a mental illness. But again, I'm an optimist. I know, again, starting with the scripture, I can do all things through Christ. I know that we can turn everything or anything that's negative, we can turn it around for the good. All right. So Dr. Benjamin was saying that he's going to look into what causes bad habits and followed by a clear 3-step method for how to break bad habits and replace them with more positive alternatives. Okay, so let's move on to how long does it take to break a habit? All right, let me open this just a little bit. How long does it take to break a bad habit? So the common belief that it takes 21 days to make or break a bad habit and has faced constant scrutiny since that 21-day period has faced constant scrutiny. People have challenged, it doesn't take 21 days. Okay, but research shows that it does take 21 days. All right. So give each new element that you bring into your morning routine a fair shot. Let's think about that, your morning routine. Try something for just a couple of days before giving it up. It's not enough. Though opinions vary on how long it takes for something to become a habit, Dr. Benjamin is suggesting that we give each new each new element at least 1 or 2 week trials to see how maybe you like it, if it works for you. So with that said, he believes that through his research, 21 days is a reasonable rule to work with, so long as you don't become despondent. You don't get despondent, and you haven't managed to break a particular habit in that exact time frame. So consider the 21-day rule to be a suggestion rather than an exact scientific calculation. All right, so let's move it along. And I'm looking because I have different devices that I'm looking at. So if you have any questions or if you have any life scenarios that you don't mind sharing, again, I will pause and stop and I will bring light to it. All right, let's move it along to why is it so hard to break bad habits? Again, I'm a degree counselor and I'm a Christian degree counselor. So I'm going to always refer my findings along with scripture. Okay, why is it so hard to break a bad habit? Let me open this up a little bit and then I'll close it. Why is it so hard to break a bad habit? Attempting to break a bad habit can be difficult because performing the habit in question day after day, week after week, and year after year has become your default state. So, in a way that the bad habit has become a part of you, refer back to this 21-day rule, whether the exact number of days will take you, which that'll take you to break a particular habit, whether it's 21 days, 42 days, or more. The fact of the matter is the habit that we're trying to break has likely been with us for us as people for some time or throughout your lifetime. Likely many months, years, and possibly even decades. So if the bad habit in question is one that you have repeated daily for many decades, it stands to reason that attempting to break it in a short space of time is going to be difficult. But doing so is not impossible. And that is what the rest of this article is going to, what Dr. Benjamin is talking about. Now, let's take, for example, a smoker. If somebody smoked from age 14 all the way to age 50, they're going to need more than 21 days to practice not smoking. So you have to look at it from 14 to age 50. Oh my gosh, we're looking at 38 years of smoking, for example. So it's almost ridiculous to even believe that they're going to just stop smoking all for 21 days. It's going to take some time. It may take 6 months. It may take a year. But the thing is, don't give up and don't beat yourself up. All right, so let's move this on to how to break bad habits. Let me see, does anyone have any questions or anything? All right, how to break a bad habit. Let me open this up a little bit so you can see it. All right, how can we break bad habits? So humans are simple creatures. Okay, this is Dr. Benjamin's. This is his what he's saying. We want a little more out of life than to keep doing the things that we enjoy doing, and to do less of the things that we don't like doing. Unfortunately, living in a way in which we never experience discomfort is not only unworkable, it's unrealistic. Okay, doing so would quickly become its own kind of prison. Like, think about it. If you get everything you want, what kind of person you really gonna be? All right. We've seen people who've basically gotten everything handed to them, and they haven't turned out to be the most integrous people. I want to put it that way. All right. So with that cheery thought in our minds, we're going to discover a clear 3-step method for how to break habits and to replace them with more positive alternatives. All right, so let's move on to define the habits that you want to break and the triggers that go along with it. Because trust me, everything has a trigger. All right, so let's move this on. And I'm going to open this up a little bit so you can see how to break. All right. Okay. So number 1 says define the habit that you want to break and its triggers. All habits, good and bad, are formed through repetition. We know this. Okay, we know this. And in order to break a bad habit, it is necessary for us to first define the habit, then break it, and break the repetition of it. You got to know what habit you want to stay in. I don't recommend trying to break multiple habits at one time, because that's a recipe for failure. All right, so Dr. Benjamin said he has written numerous articles over the years on the topic of stacking habits, what I was just talking about. So, as he wrote in his book on morning routines, habit stacks are a series of linked actions. Waking up your triggers, like you go to the bathroom, which triggers you. Like, for instance, he's saying when you go to the bathroom in the morning, waking up, going to the bathroom, the trigger is I got to go to the bathroom. Most people will go to the use the bathroom. Then they'll wash their hands, then they'll brush their teeth and wash their face and all of that. This is what he's talking about. So which triggers you to put on your workout clothes? A lot of people go on a workout in the morning. When I worked out, I would do it in the afternoon when it wasn't so hot. Sit down, meditate. I meditate in the morning. I'm a firm believer on meditating. I meditate in the morning. Put on the kettle to begin brewing your favorite cup of tea or coffee. So defining what happens just before you perform the bad habit is in question is the key to starting your journey towards breaking that habit. So there's always something that you're going to do that you do before you start doing that bad habit. And Dr. Benjamin is talking about recognizing that trigger. Okay? So he says, let's back up for a minute. In order to truly be able to break a bad habit, you first need to ask yourself, why do you want to break that habit? Why do you want to break that habit or change the habit in the first place? He said I'm not talking about surface level reasons either. He said, I want you to dive deep inside of yourself and really tell yourself why the habit is harmful to you and what breaking it will do for you, what it'll add to your life. For instance, I talk a lot. I do like unofficial counsels with a lot of millennials, a lot of young people. And so to each their own, But they want to talk about, a lot of times when they want to talk to me about smoking weed. And I know it's becoming legal in a lot of different states, but it's still not legal in a lot of states either. And so they talk about the pros. And I said, okay, so can you tell me how it's enhancing your life while you're doing this? how have your life gotten better? And so, of course, a lot of times they want to defend the behavior, what they're doing, but they're not answering the question that I'm asking. How is it enhancing your life by you doing this? And then when you go for a job and then they do a drug test, will you be able to pass that drug test when you're doing this? It's a fact. You need a job. You need a job to live. You got to work to live. And so I would ask them, these are the things that I would ask, how does it enhance your life? Now, again, I'm not trying to talk them out of it. I'm just asking a question. How is it enhancing your life? If you feel like it's not a problem, then it's not a problem. So that's just one thing, like Dr. Benjamin was talking about. Find out, ask yourself the hard questions. And like he says that he said he wants you to dive deep inside of yourself and really tell yourself why, talk to yourself and tell yourself why is this habit harmful? And breaking it, how will it enhance your life? So if you're a chronic procrastinator who barely manages to complete anything, this is an example that Dr. Benjamin has given, because your attention is consistently being pulled, in another direction. Excuse me. Dr. Benjamin was saying you can tell yourself that if you can break that habit of procrastinating, that you will be more productive, creating more opportunities for yourself and more connectedness, and likely more money in your bank over the long term as well. So on a deeper level, if you're being a smoker your whole life, and that's an example I gave earlier, tell yourself to face your face that if you can break this habit, you will potentially add years to your life. Okay, and years that can be spent watching your children, your grandchildren, and great grandchildren grow. So once a person has established the reasons why they want to break their habits, then they need to list the aforementioned triggers that happen just before they start to perform these habits that are in question. Ask yourself, do these triggers act alone, or are they a part of a larger pattern of behavior? Okay, and once you have your reasons for wanting to break these habits, the triggers that cause you to perform the habits, and any larger view of how these triggers work together, then it's time to move on to choosing a substitute for that bad habit. Okay, remember I talked about that a little bit earlier, choosing a substitute for the bad habit. All right, so let's move on to number 2. Number 2 says choose a substitute for your bad habit. Let me open this up a little bit. All right. Unfortunately, knowing how to break a bad habit means knowing that you often can't simply break a bad habit. So more often than not, you need to replace it with something else instead. So the reasoning behind this is just simple. Returning again to the idea of triggers and habit stacks. When you stack one habit on top of another, or you experience a trigger that tells your brain that it's time to perform your bad habit again. So your brain now expects this habit to take place. So if in this moment you will feel a pull to perform that bad habit, or an urge, but with nothing to replace it, and that will be difficult, then that urge will be difficult to ignore. So however, when you substitute out your bad habit for a good one, you are ensuring that the habit stack remains unbroken, and your brain has somewhere to turn when it experiences the trigger that preceded your old habit. Okay, let me give you an example, because this is a lot right here. I'm a plus size woman, as y'all can see. My highest weight, I was almost 500 pounds, and I tell people, when y'all see me, you see a miracle. So I always have tried to work on losing weight. And then a door opened up for me back in 2015, 16 to get the gastric bypass. Gastric bypass. I'm sorry, I didn't say 2006. 2006, I was able to get the gastric bypass. But that was not the whole resolve of whatever with my weight. I still had to continue to do what I was always doing previously. The gastric bypass was just a tool for me to help lose the weight. I have, for this last 16, 17 years, I still have got to walk. I still got to do some kind of exercise. I still have to monitor what I eat. I still, I can't eat anything and think that the weight won't come back. And thankfully, so what I did, I used to love eating Entenmann's chocolate donuts. So in order for me to stop eating that, I had to replace it with something. So I learned how to grasp a hold of, and instead of getting a donut when I wanted something sweet, um, I learned how to count calories, and I would still get something sweet. Like your dark chocolate. Dark chocolate is healthier for you. You get, if you eat the within the calories, and if you eat the proper serving size and don't gorge, I still would satisfy my sweet tooth, but I wouldn't eat two Entenmann's chocolate donuts. I would eat like a little small bar, and it would satisfy my sweet tooth, and I move on. So that's what Dr. Benjamin was talking about, substituting for, instead of going for the Entenmann's, I would go on and get dark chocolate. Is not as sweet. So it has a little bitter taste to it, but it still has a little sweet taste to it, and it's a lot healthier. So I learned how to substitute the Entenmann's chocolate donuts for the proper serving size of a little piece of dark chocolate, and it still satisfied my craving. But and I stayed within the serving size, and the caloric intake was much lower, and that's what he's talking about. So let's move on to number 3, because this is a lot. I want to break it down because my time is almost up. Number 3, aim for success and then plan for failure. Let me open this up. Aim for success, then plan for failure. All right. The last step in knowing how to break a bad habit rests on both your attitude and your level of preparedness. In order to successfully break a bad habit, it is essential that we believe that we're able to break it. Even when we believe that the odds are stacked against us, we must be persistent in our quest to break the habit. But at the same time, we must be patient with our process. Okay, and with ourselves, as Doctor was noting earlier. Consider the 21-day rule as a suggestion. Sometimes it'll take a little bit more time. All right. This is what he means by aiming for success and planning for failure. You must reward yourself at even the slightest of milestones. 1 day without performing that habit, 2 days, 3 days. You must visualize yourself. Okay, I'm sorry. You must visualize yourself shaking off the habit for good. Keep that in your mind. I can do this. I can do this. I can live without this. I can live without this. But at the same time, we have to realize it's a process that's going on in place, and then slip ups do happen. So that would otherwise make you feel that you're back that you're back at square one, but you're not. You're really not. You're really not. So we're gonna move this. Wow, I didn't realize. I'm sorry. I printed out my paperwork, and a whole stack of empty papers came out with it. I knew it was a lot of papers. All right, so let's move on to our next thing. All right. Nope. Okay, let me go back. So I'm going to finish this up because I do have another minute or two. So Dr. Benjamin says, while this won't be necessary for every bad habit that you want to break, for the larger sticker habits, he recommends joining a support group, and I recommend the same thing, either online or if your bad habit is a common one, in person, where you can share tips with other people who are struggling to let go of maybe the same thing or a similar habit as you. And while at the same time working to support each other towards letting go of the habit altogether. So when you aim for success, but plan for failure, you ensure that you're giving yourself every possible chance to take your bad habit to a task. Knowing how to break bad habits and replace them with more positive alternatives is a skill that will serve you well throughout your entire life. So whatever bad habits that you have broken, reach You can, if you already broke some habits, then you can go back. If something else happened, you know that you can break more. Okay, you can break more. All right, so I'm going to move this along because my time is up. Let me open this up. Okay, so this is the websites where I got my longitudinal studies from. If you wanted to double check and go over them and find out for yourself. Okay, let me move this along. I'm going to open this up. Okay, so if there's a past Counsel of the Day with Shanrae that you have missed, series that you have missed, or you just want to rewatch, you can go to my YouTube channel at Shanrae Price. Please like, share, and subscribe. And then select any past series that you want to watch. Let me do this again. I am a professional one-on-one counselor, and I offer one-on-one counseling services. So feel free to contact me if you're interested via my Facebook Messenger at Shanrae Cherie Price, or via my email at shanrae.cherieprice@gmail.com. I'm a lifestyle strategist, and my aim is to aid you in your life's goals and your life's dreams. I want to thank you all for participating in my Counsel Today with Shanrae tonight. And let me open this up. Okay, so these are my new days, same time. So for the whole month of August, I'm going to be talking about different ways we can break and different strategies, how we can break bad habits, and we can move to the successful life that we see ourselves and we know that we can live. New days are Sunday and Monday evenings, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time to 9:30. Let me see if anyone has any questions. Hey, Chipper. Hey, how are you? So good to see you. All right. Well, I will see you all this coming Sunday night, the 8th, August 8th. I will see y'all 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and then that following Monday, I will always do part 2 of whatever I'm talked on Sunday night. Y'all have a blessed week. Bye. See you Sunday night. Bye.